Right, so then moving on to the next item is the monthly report from the community boards. The last monthly report from the community boards for this triennium, in fact. I'd invite Emma Norrish, Chair of the Waipapa Papanui Innis Community Board, to the table. Emma, welcome. Looking forward to your last update from your community board for this term. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you today. We have before you today... It's not working. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I'll speak to it anyway. We have before you one part A report today, the Northcote Road Signalized pedestrian crossing. This was unanimously supported by our board, but we do note that this project is only addressing the requirements of the resource consents for Marion College and the new Pack and Save, and not the bigger issues on Northcote Road. Consultation feedback highlighted the need for urgent work to be done on this increasingly busy stretch of road, and this is why, as part of our board recommendation to you, we're asking for scheme design funding for the Northcote Road Corridor Improvement Project to be brought forward to next year's annual plan. Next slide. Here's a quick rundown on decisions we've made under delegation over the last month. Demand for our youth development fund is increasing. Young people are getting opportunities which they haven't had for a few years now, which is great to see. Next slide. We've had a number of transport reports this month. We also granted the ground lease for the McFarlane Park Neighbourhood Centre to Shirley Community Trust, and we approved our Summer with Your Neighbours funding as well as our Strengthening Communities funding for the year. The demand for this funding was once again huge, and we have granted just over $350,000 to 36 community groups. Next slide. Earlier in the year, we heard a public forum presentation from a Shirley resident asking what had happened to the McFarlane Park Memorial plaque, and she was seeking its replacement. So we've now had that plaque reinstated. It acknowledges the opening of the park in 1955 by the then Mayor Robert McFarlane. Next slide. We're pleased to see the reinstatement of the fence around the toddlers' playground at Sindhurban's park. This keeps young children safe and gives parents peace of mind, so thanks to the parks team for their work on this. Next one. We had one of the highlights of our term a couple of weeks ago when we held a public forum at Te Ora Hau in their brand new whare, Te Iho o Te Ora. We heard from Te Ora Hau staff about the amazing mahi they're doing in our community during challenging times, and also from some rangatahi who have benefited from the organisation's work. It was really special to be hosted in their new space, and the stories that were shared were incredibly insightful and moving. And the grand opening of the development is today, so I'll be shooting off there shortly. Next one, being our last presentation of the term, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how we've tracked over the last 3 years with our priorities from our board plan. Highlights with regards to community facilities have been the opening of Kohunga, the new Sindhurban's Community Centre, the reinstatement of the funding for the development at Shirley Community Reserve, the Sheldon Park Netball Courts upgrade, the Edgeware Pool Grant, and the Sindhurban Skate Park upgrade. The next one, a big part of our work this term has been around creating a functional and safe traffic network for our communities, and there are some achievements listed there, with the biggest ones being the funding for signals at the Greers Road, Langdons Road intersection, and the continuing work on mitigating the effects of the Christchurch Northern Corridor through St Albans. Next, it's still that same one. We had as one of our priorities in the plan the encouragement of civic participation, and obviously over 2 years of living in a pandemic have had a big impact on how we've achieved that. We started holding public forums in the community, and although the majority of these ended up having to be done online, we did have great engagement with community organisations and were able to facilitate some great conversations, some of them with people who might not have been keen to come and speak to us in person. We were also the first board to start live streaming our meetings back in 2020, which we've had great feedback on, and it's great to see all boards now doing this. Next one, we've continued working to support our vulnerable communities during what have been very difficult times. Our local staff have been absolutely amazing in the support work they've done during COVID, and we as a board have been able to advocate for our groups and provide funding in areas of need. And just quickly before I finish up, I'd like to comment on item 13 on your agenda today, the Edgeware flooding report. Our board really appreciates the briefings we've had from staff on this, and the inclusion of our board comments as an attachment to the report, and I hope you will read those. Having read the staff report, we as a board have one big concern. Staff have recommended that you consider raising the curb to full height, but then the report goes on to say that this will not significantly alter the flood risk and that it's costly and would be significantly disruptive. If this is the case, then we ask, why is that recommendation in there? And with regards to the further engagement with businesses which is proposed in the report, we would like to see a text alert system introduced, and finally that the council's levels of service be addressed so that staff are able to assist commercial properties facing flooding issues. So that's it from me today, and thank you very much for everything you've done for your support this term. Thanks.
And thank you for everything you and your board have done to support your community this term as well. Thanks very much indeed for the update. I'm sure those matters that you raised at the end of the presentation will have been picked up by councillors, may lead to questions or comments on that report when we get there.
Great.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're out of time for questions, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you very much indeed. So now we come to the Te Pātika o Rakaihutu Banks Peninsula Community Board. Chair of the board, Tori Peden. Good morning and welcome.
Morena. Right. So first slide up. Thank you. So even as we near the end of the term, the board hasn't slowed down and has made a number of decisions supporting our communities during the 2 August meetings. We considered the proposal to use Kokopā Hostel as a community-based kaupapa Māori health, social service centre and community hub provided by Purupuru Whitu. After hearing from a number of community members, we requested more information from staff and costs and planning requirements before making that final decision. We approved 12 Strengthened Community Fund grants and really wonderful grassroots initiatives around the peninsula, including Diamond Harbour School, the Akaroa Community Arts Council, Little River Wairua Community Trust, amongst others. We also allocated funding from our discretionary response fund towards 2023 Anzac ceremonies and the 2022-23 Some With Your Neighbours events. These events were a great success last year and we look forward to seeing them come to life again in the coming months. Finally, the board recommendation that the incoming Te Pātika o Rakaihutu board not establish the Akaroa Issues Working Party, but they formally appoint a board member to the Akaroa Bays Forum to act as a board's representative with the community league group. Wanted to highlight some of the many achievements from our community board. This plan has driven our decision making and helped us keep the big picture in mind through the term. As you know, destination management plan has been a top priority for us in our communities, and we're really excited about the agreement to prepare a plan specifically for the peninsula and the central government funding to accompany this. We are looking forward to the delivery of this plan and the ways in which it will support our communities. While we recognise there is still a long way to go to see replacement Godly House type facility in Diamond Harbour, we are pleased that we are now able to work with staff in the community to find a way through what appeared to be a 10-year deadlock, and we look forward to more progress on this in the future. Turning our priorities to our communities, that they are strong and connected. The retention of the customer service centres in the peninsula is something we feel proud of, because we know how important these facilities are for our local residents and who may otherwise have an hour and a half drive to be able to interact with customer service staff. We're also delighted to have been able to support many community organisations to deliver excellent initiatives. One example being our persistent and successful advocacy for funding to support the provision of shore-based welfare facilities for the seafarers in Littleton. We did have some real wins regarding improvements to infrastructure across the peninsula, including improving and implementing wastewater systems in Littleton, Devotials and Akaroa that are culturally appropriate and will minimise the environmental impacts going forward. Ensuring that Naval Point development was approved and had required funding to enable this important work to go ahead. It is very exciting and will maintain that this regionally important facility is updated and made much more safer for its users. Continuing with the marine theme, we are pleased to have been able to make decisions that support the renewal of Akaroa and Diamond Harbour wharves and be able to support the Governor's Bay Jetty Trust to repair their jetty, which is so significant to that community. Finally, after many years of advocacy, Part of the deep drain in the farm side of Little River Township will be covered. Waka Kotahi has collaborated with Council for safety initiatives and a wonderful show of partnership. And just the last wee wrap up, I'd also like to take a minute to set out what we consider to be success factors behind these achievements, as we believe this provides valuable learnings for others, especially the new incoming board. We believe the key things that contribute to the success we've had are our board's received strong leadership from Andrew as a councillor, and that has helped the board. This has helped us ensure that our objectives align with the council's new strategic framework. The board's debate and agreed upon a set of values and objectives to drive our advocacy and decision making, including the need to balance environmental, social and cultural values with infrastructure development, economic prosperity and tourism, and the need for a good relationship with our communities and Papatipu Runanga. We worked well together and had respectful, open debates. We know our communities really well. We have strong connections, and each board member took on board liaison roles with a variety of local community groups and committees. This led us to collectively having ties to over 60 community organisations. We worked hard to consider things of the Peninsula perspective, rather than focusing solely on the needs of the subdivision that elected us, each of us. We appreciate the staff advice and guidance provided to us, and hopefully developed mutual respectful relationships that support us to work collaboratively with them to find solutions when we didn't agree. I would like to finish by thanking Leanne for her leadership and her acknowledgement that things on the peninsula are different to the urban city areas and are often driven by environmental forces rather than people. And on behalf of all members of the Banks Peninsula Board, I'd like to wholeheartedly thank Andrew for his excellent work. We wish him well for the future and know he will be missed. So that's our board wrap up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Tori, to you and the board, and to the staff that has supported the board, thank you for all the work that you've done in this triennium. And yeah, I mean, the report certainly makes a lot of that clear. So thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning and for the work done. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Waitai Coastal Burwood Community Board Area Report, Chairperson Kelly Barber. Thank you very much indeed, Kelly, for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm joined again by Chris Turner-Bullock, our famous governance manager. I just want to hover on this photo for a minute. It's been 3 years in the making, so I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Linda Stewart, second from the right, is ending her term serving council and her community after 5 terms, one of the most the longest serving members, and also Bibi Frail, second from the left, is finishing after 1 term. Very competent people who have contributed a lot to our discussions and a lot to the residents of our area. We also have Phil, who's moving on to run for some other office, I'm not sure what. And I also want to acknowledge the contribution of Celeste, who's been with us for a year but has made a big contribution to our board, which has been very functional. So the people, thank you. Moving on to decisions made under delegation. So I just want to highlight the fact that we've provided funding for 54 groups this past year, and also want to highlight the Koro Fund, which is a capped amount of 500 for new initiatives and can be processed very quickly. So just something to respond to the community. So moving on to community groups and activities. So the Ascot Hub, pictured on the left there, they've removed some wire mesh and put some new patio furniture in. This hub is actually owned by the council and managed by Eastern Community Sports and Recreation for the use of the local community. And also want to highlight the New Brighton project, who have instigated an initiative to smarten up the windows of Save Mart. And special thanks to Gavin Fantastic of the New Brighton Outdoor Art Foundation for the work that that he's done. The great thing about the New Brighton project is that they're right at the heart of the community, making a big difference in little things that they see that need to be improved in the area. So thank you to those groups. I'll move into a summary of the last few years, really. So our progress on our community board plan priorities. So on the left, roads and transportation links. We've had a lot of briefings this year on various initiatives that are happening regarding our roads, etc. There's still improvement that can be made, but we're grateful for the work that has been done and will continue to be done. One of the highlights, I guess, was the reinstatement of the fronds that used to be on the Anzac Bridge. They were removed after the earthquakes and have made their way back to a site maybe 30, 40 metres from the bridge, and they're standing proud. They're looking really good, and the community really appreciate having them there. One of our other priorities was making our place attractive and appealing for all. We think this is really important for the people of the East, in that they've suffered a lot from the earthquakes over the years, and we really wanted people to feel good about where they lived and their place. And there are so many fantastic initiatives that have been going on, particularly in the New Brighton area, and we think it's really important for the psyche of our community. In fact, the board from very, very early on got involved in doing our own cleanups and got us into a wee bit of trouble, I suppose, but we really wanted to show that that we were people of action and not just talk, and so we got out and did some cleanups ourselves and a bit of weed eating and tidying up. This has been a big priority for our community, is to see the place looking better. We've been very fortunate to benefit from the shovel-ready funding, which was available after the lockdowns and the COVID situation. So we got a couple of new surf clubs funded, and the council has done a lot in the New Brighton area in particular, with new streetscaping and a new playground, the clock tower reinvigorated, and obviously the hot pools have come open. There's so much development going on down there, a really positive housing development. So we're excited about seeing the place look a lot better. Moving on. So another priority of ours was undertake to support new community-led facilities in the Burwood ward. So the Burwood ward lost a lot of its community facilities, but there are two great projects ongoing at the moment. One is a new community centre which has been led by Carolyn Robertson and the people of All Saints on Burwood Road near the old Burwood school site. So they're well underway, and they're using the old foundry building at the university where many young students have partied for many years, but it's going to find a different use for the community. They're going to have a cafe and bits and pieces there, so really looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. And also the Martians Hall Trust, of which I'm one of the trustees, well advanced in planning a new community facility in the Preston sort of Martians area. There's a lot going on there, and we hope to see some really good progress in the next couple of years. Our other priority is to improve service delivery at QE2. It is the most visited facility in our area, and we're continuing to advocate for accessibility toilets. And also we were very appreciative of receiving automatic doors that were retrofitted to the facility, so that people coming out of the pools wouldn't be so cold as they were heading to the changing room. So that was a really good initiative to get across the line. So another priority was to support the transformation and activation of the red zone. We asked for and got 2 members of our team on Te Tira Kahikuhiku, the red zone transformation team, and we're really pleased to get that. Again, we were very fortunate to be the beneficiaries of some money from the Canterbury Earthquake Appeal Trust, and we've had 3 bridges and the Dallington Landing opened in the last year. These are fantastic new facilities, connections for our community, and greatly appreciated. And it's a bit serendipitous, but it's really good to see those back. And also, we've supported the community-led action plan for Brooklands. Recently, we granted $10,000 to support ongoing initiatives there. And I must commend our staff for their patience and with us and the people of Brooklands to help rebuild that trust that some of the area felt had been lost. So I would just like to finish by thanking the Council for your support over the last 3 years for the Burwood and Coastal Wards. So much we couldn't do without you. We appreciate your help and your interest. I'd like to particularly thank the Mayor, Leanne, who's not here, for her interest, and Andrew, Anne, Jimmy and Catherine, who aren't running, for your service to the community in general. I've already mentioned Linda and Bibi, who are leaving, but I also want to thank particularly our governance team, who have led 5 of the 6 of us who are new through an interesting 3 years, and I think we sometimes forget how good the staff are at giving us advice, looking after us, and they're true professionals, and we appreciate every little thing that they do for us in the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you and your board for the work that you've done in your community. I mean, obviously some achievements that you've put forward in the presentation this morning, and realise that there's a lot more that we haven't seen in the presentation today. Yeah, thanks very much indeed to the board for all of the work that you've done in the triennium, and also acknowledging the staff support as you've acknowledged it. Which has enabled and allowed you to do so much of that work. So thank you very much indeed, and thanks for the presentation this morning. Thank you. All right, so now moving on to Waimero, Fendleton, Waimari, Harewood Community Board. And Chairperson Bridget Williams. Bridget, welcome to the table. Good to have you with us. Thank you for the presentation.
Kia ora, everyone. I also have Marianne with me as well. So we will jump into the report. So for our first slide, we have the decisions made under delegation. So it was a busy meeting last month with a number of decisions being made, including road naming, traffic restrictions and ground leases for groups utilising council land. And we also had a notice of motion from Councillor Goff regarding flooding on Brenchley Ave, which I will talk a bit about later in the presentation. For the next slide, we also have more decisions made under delegation. So a key decision was made, a key decision we made was the allocation of the Strengthening Communities Fund, which saw us provide funding to 49 local community groups who are undertaking a range of activities and programs to support the building of strong communities. We also granted funding to young people through the Youth Development Fund, and it is so great to see that now with COVID restrictions being eased, that our young people are heading off overseas again to participate in a variety of activities. So with public forum and deputation, so we had 3 members of the public come to speak to us, and as previously mentioned, our notice of motion was around the flooding on Brenchley Ave in Strohan. So Mr. James Glubb, a local resident of the street, came and gave a very informative presentation regarding the issues. We have asked staff to undertake some investigation into the cause of the issues and possible solutions, and we look forward to the new board continuing to work with staff and residents on this matter. We also had a presentation from the Northwood Residents Association covering a range of issues in the area, and these are some significant matters that will need to be worked through in terms of the intersection and the roundabout. But look, if anyone has seen the N and the W lying around, they would love for them to be returned. And then moving on to community board plan and key achievements. So I know we put this slide up at last month's meeting, but we thought we'd do it again. So we are really pleased that a number of these achievements are a result of working in collaboration with local residents and groups. And we know we talked about our safety expo at the last meeting, but we now have a short video that we would like to finish with to highlight the event. So sit back and enjoy. The suspense. Yay! Yay! No, a very swish video. And who put that video together? Was it the
It was the Asian Community Trust.
Yeah, fantastic. So a real community event. And lastly, that's us. But before we end, I just want to acknowledge some of the councillors that are not standing again, and that is Jimmy Chen, Anne Galloway, Catherine Chu, Andrew Turner, and of course our Mayor. And there are also some community board members as well that will be leaving a big gap. And we just want to say a huge thank you to all your service. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you, and of course none of this would have been possible without our incredible staff and amazing governance team. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you for all the work that you and your board have done in your community over the triennium, some of which obviously has been made very clear to us in the presentation and the video. Thanks for all the work that you've done in the last 3 years. Thank you very much, and to the staff that have supported you as well. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
All right, so now we move to the Waikoura Linwood Central Heathcote Community Board. Alexandra Davids, Chair of the Board, welcome to the table. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Kia ora everybody, thank you for having me this morning. I'm also here with Arahanui, so thank you for being with me this morning. Okay, I also want to say thank you for the little bit of extra time that you've given us today as our board is wrapping up. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some of the highlights and some things we would like people to think about moving into the next term. So we have several Part A's that will be have decisions made on them today. So we obviously have the alcohol ban in Woolston Village. The board supports an investigation into an alcohol ban in Woolston. While we do recognise it's not a fix to the issues, it is one option that can be looked at to try and help some of the issues that we are seeing in that area. And we know that you would have all read the report on that. We also have the Linwood Village Streetscape. So the streetscape plan for Linwood Village has been long awaited by the board, and alongside the Greening the East project was championed by Sally Buck. The board is aware that there is a funding shortfall, but considers that the added resolutions are integral to the success of the project. And we urge you to find the budget necessary for this project in its entirety. So thank you for that consideration. Today I intend to speak mostly to the work the board has carried out over the past term and highlight our achievements. We have stuck to our plan goals and have had many wins. Community well-being has been one of those. This was a catch-all priority that enabled the board to give attention to the range of issues that arise in our communities. In particular, we are proud to have supported the local communities of Charleston and Phillipstown to engage with their communities to understand what they are looking for from the new Lancaster Park site, to fund our community groups to do the invaluable work they do in their neighbourhoods. We have had a refreshed youth development project in Linwood that brought local youth organisations together to work collaboratively. The board has sponsored youth events ranging from dance parties at the Art Gallery in Eastgate Mall, regular pool parties at Te Pou Toi Toi, and new community-based youth development role for Linwood. We're proud to have achieved getting funding on the annual plan for the Phillipstown Hub when the Ministry of Education makes decisions for the old Phillipstown school site. Moral Reserve, this priority was resolved early in the term. And footpaths. The board has held the importance of encouraging walking and active transport top of mind, especially in the central ward. This means more accessibility for pedestrians and those with disabilities or pushchairs. This priority has been met through a range of opportunities presented to the Community Board over the term, including a craft program and slower street programs, and the greening of the East. The working party for this project was wrapped up in early 2021. Funding was found for some quick wins, and a program of planting will be carried out next year. In Bromley, the project is now starting to gather momentum. This is our roading project. As you're aware, the aim of this project is to retrofit the streets of Bromley to enable it to be the safe, livable suburb the residents deserve, rather than ribboned with the bone-shaking rat runs for heavy speeding transport that it currently is. I have spoken about this on multiple occasions over the past 3 years. We have pulled the required information, people, and initial funding into place. This has been a slow burn, which should now start to show some rewards for the community. Linwood Park and Pool to Po Toi Toi is obviously now open, and it's very successful, especially with the Wahine Wednesdays program, and Linwood Park development is in progress. The board has prioritised its strengthening community fundings to reflect its commitment to improving resilience in the impact of climate change, and we signed our charter in 2021. The board is really proud of its Apawaho Lower Heathcote guidance plan. We believe it is a great example of the community and board working together towards a holistic vision for the river. Linwood Central Heathcote had the lion's share of master plan projects, and this board has been committed to the delivery of the projects on the long-term plan. Woolston has been transformed into an attractive and much safer little village by the implementation of the master plan, and locals, including St Anne's School, are delighted by the outcomes of the project, which greatly enhances the safety of the students. Linwood Village has been mentioned today, so needs no more mention other than to urge you to find the budget required to complete this much needed project, please. The Bays Skate Park and Village Green project is programmed and will this summer, following delays due to supply issues, be underway. With Main Road, the board has continued to advocate for slower speeds in the Redcliffs area in alignment with the master plan. This baton will be handed onto the Waihoro, Braden, Cashmere, Heathcote Community Board in the new term. So just to finish off, I just want to obviously keep forefront of mind our residents in the Bromley area that are dealing with the wastewater treatment plant and the organics processing plant going into Christmas. This is obviously something that we're all super aware of, but I did need to mention them today and finding solutions as quickly as possible. I want to say a huge thank you to the residents groups and the community groups and the organisations in the Waikoura, Linwood, Central, Heathcote wards, and to all people who took time to raise issues with the board. Without these groups and individuals, there would be much less meaningful work occurring within council and our communities, so we thank them. Thank you to our past and present board members who have followed through with the completion of important projects and championed our communities. I want to say a massive thank you to our staff who have really supported us as a board through this term and also prior terms. It's been quite a task on staff with a lot of the changes that we've seen, and we do say a big thank you to all of them for their patience. Thank you. While we have had our share of challenges as a board, working together has been what has enabled us to get the good stuff done, and we wish the boards that will now include our wards all the best in the upcoming term. And thank you in advance for working alongside our communities for the better outcomes of the future of our city.
And just want to thank all councillors around the table today for your support in helping us get good stuff done in our area. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much indeed for a very full presentation. Thank you for the work that you and the board have done over the last 3 years. And of course, you know, working in an environment where you know that your particular board won't be existing after the election, I guess, you know, it means that there are some things that you wanted to make sure you get done before the end, but equally has led to some uncertainties about what happens next. So thanks for the work that you've done. And of course, the areas that you've represented will continue to be well represented because they'll be part of other community boards in the future. So thanks also, as you reflected, to the staff that have supported you and for the presentation this morning. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we move to the Waikoura Spraden Cashmere Community Board and Chairperson Carolyn Potter. Welcome to the table.
Kia ora tātou. Thank you. Just before we start, I just want to say that Alex's board was left with, after the last boundary change, the last boundary change, Alex's board was left with a disproportionate, huge workload, and our board with a relatively small workload. And I want to congratulate Alex's board for all the work that was done and for your report, Alex. It reflected your workload. And you can see the decisions that were made recently and the discretionary fund response allocations. I just want to briefly mention the off the ground fund, which our board started. It was Jenny Huey's idea to have the off the ground fund. It's a very successful fund. It requires not a major work. And we always think about it in our description on our board, the off the ground fund is for a moment of joy. And we deliberately phrased it that way to reflect the fact that it's a very small donation that can have a big impact. And sometimes that's what happens. If the council gives $300 to a kindergarten to create a vegetable garden, that's big for that small community. And we have always valued that fund, and we're glad to see other boards have adopted it. Community boards and projects, we had a wonderful event to celebrate this year's Community Service Award recipients. None of these award reflect are as great as they have been in the past, when we had one, for instance, at the Trotting Club, which was just amazing. But the smallness of the occasion on this was just wonderful. There we have Subai and of this Christchurch South, Lower Cashmere Residents Association, Annabelle Houseman from the wonderful River Network, which has changed the way we are dealing with the Apāwaho Heathcote right up and down the River Network. Just amazing work being done by the River Network, and fantastic work being done. And there's the chair of the Spraden Tennis Club, and they offer scholarships free to kids to play tennis for free. The big impediment for kids playing sports is the amount of money it costs. It's $250, $290 for people to join a tennis club, kids to join a tennis club. They offer scholarships for children for free. And other people who got included, Riccarton players still without a home. I wish the boards would get together on the Riccarton players to see if we can find them a permanent address. The Hoonhay Residents Association in the Children's Library, the Food Bank in Hoonhay, and so on. Wonderful people who do wonderful work. This is a bit of an indulgence, this one. There's Jonathan Henson. He invited me down to the Spraden Domain to watch, not do, obviously, but to watch the planting of 20 kahikatea trees. I've only nagged for 16 years. So it was a real thrill for Jonathan to phone me up one day and say come down. And I took down half a dozen beer and a sponge cake with cream in it. I don't think the two go together, but there you are. And the kahikatea trees, as you can see, are quite a big size. The plantings in this park look as though they're probably post-war, and Lombardy and willows and things like that. And over the next 10 years, they'll come to the end of their life, and then the kahikatea trees will take over. And I am thrilled to see them being planted. Thank you. And this, conversely, is a planting that the residents decided upon in Gainsborough Terrace, where they've got a classic largish piece of green with a children's playground in the middle of it. And they decided, just Arbit said to themselves, this is what we're going to do. They decided to plant some fruit trees at one end, and at the other end, another group of residents have asked us for soccer nets to save the soccer ball from going dangerously onto the road. So we're, and that's being worked through now. But these residents decided to plant some fruit trees, and that's the turnout. Just a group of people in Hoonhay who said to themselves, we can do this. The key achievements in our ward, we have the construction completed on the Cashmere-Hoonhay-Worsleys Road intersection. This intersection's the one that takes the people to the adventure park on Worsleys Road as well, and the huge extension and number of houses being put in on Worsleys Road too. It's a wonder that somebody hasn't died on this intersection, because it's weird, it was strange, and the construction of it is absolutely wonderful, including 2 free left-hand turns. We don't have a lot of free left-hand turns in Christchurch, and it's made a real difference to this intersection. Barrington Mall, where's the party? Oh, there, cutting the ribbon down there in Barrington Mall. Dennis and Sonia, long-serving members of the Spraden Neighbourhood Network. This has been wanted, the changes to the exit from Barrington Mall to left turn only, has been wanted now for about 15 years. It's been worked on all the time that I've been on the board. It's amazing. So we had a party in Barrington Mall at a tea shop to celebrate, and it invited people back who started working on it 16 years ago. So it was a great celebration. And strangely, of course, people for the first 3 weeks, the library staff right there were absolutely gripped by people turning right still into oncoming left traffic and driving over the top of the island that had just been installed. And the library staff took photographs and gave us a breathless commentary on how many people had turned right into oncoming traffic and gone over the island. So that was a marvellous event there. And now the cycleways in Spraden Cashmere, which are hugely used. Beckenham School in our ward has the biggest number of people travelling on bike to and from the school in all of Christchurch. They are bikers par excellence. And so the people in our ward are especially involved with the cycling and the cycleways, and we value every single introduction of a new branch to a cycleway that we have had. Innovating Streets project, we had some very successful ideas from local residents. We had controversy, we had drama, but the residents themselves came to the party, particularly in Beckenham, on the Innovating Streets project. Poor Selwyn Street still hasn't got its renovation that has been promised now for a number of years. We still have buildings in that street that are derelict, and we do hope that in the next 3 or 4 years that street will, that area will be renovated and will be back to its glory. Funding? Hang on, I want to go back here. Just there for the master plan. Sorry, you're dead right. Keep going. Sorry about that. Established the Hune Community Centre. This has been what would look like an uphill battle. It was the Children's Library. And the residents themselves were the ones who said, we are going to win. And they're doing a great thing. And we are tonight going to, at 7 o'clock tonight, in the community centre, not in the community centre, but organised by the Hune and Spraden Neighbourhood Network. We've got a election meeting. On the right-hand side, the adult playground. Well, we've had a feasibility study on the adult playground, which we're going to determine next steps. And improving road safety on Dyers Pass, Hexthorn and Cashmere Road. These are long-term projects, pivotal parts of our ward. Dyers Pass has gone much better than we probably thought it was going to do, given the amount of traffic that travels over there every day. And we're very glad to see the improvements that are taking place. And finally, I especially want to thank the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Without prejudice and no matter our politics, no one works harder than the Mayor and the current Mayor and the current Deputy Mayor. And I want to... Oh, you've swapped. Hello, Mayor. I didn't realise you were there. I just want to thank the Deputy Mayor and Mayor especially. No one works harder than you two have done. Whatever your politics, no one works harder. And thank you very much for the effort that you have contributed to the city. Thank you to our ever-changing staff, all of whom are terrific public servants in the best sense of the words. They have, without exception, served the public. Arahanui, who has served twice now, and Joe, who went to Hohepa, left us and went to Hohepa, Amy, Jay, Heather and Watanabe. They couldn't do better, and we are very grateful for the efforts that they go to support our work. Thank you very much.
Kia ora, thank you very much. And I think that now takes us to the last of the community boards, Waipuna, Horsville, Hornby, Rifton Community Board, Mike Mora, and Matt McClintock, Community Governance Manager.
Good. Thank you, Leanne and councillors, for the opportunity to present our last board report for the year to the council, and my last report to the council for ever. But anyway, we're in your hands now, and Matthew has got the So our discussion, strengthening communities funds, Kissel Street, stuff like that we've done. Proposed road names, Clarence Reserve, community garden lease, which was really, really important to the people in that area as well. And we've discretionary response funds to the Moral Compass Trust, Greater Hornby Resident Association, Hallsville United Football Club. Yes, so that's what we've been spending some of our money on, and decisions that we've been making. And just interesting to see that this report's also hopped into the Papanui Innes Community Board as well. So they've stolen Hornby High School and Hornby Primary School off of us. But anyway, we're very pleased with the consultation that's going on in that area, and the proposed safety improvements. And we've got wider footpaths on both sides and cycleways on both sides of the road in that area, which is it's going to be a really, really busy little place when we get our community new Paul Library Service Centre facility up and running, which is going at full speed now. So it's going to be, we're grateful for the process that we went through to actually get that location and get that project under. But anyway, I'm going to touch on that centre a little bit further in our presentation today. Now, this is a really interesting one, actually. Youth Development Fund. It just shows you how important the Youth Development Fund is, really. And Clara Richter completed the New Zealand Canoe Polo team at the 2022 World Games in Birmingham, USA. I thought Birmingham was in England.
Well, there
isn't
is
it?
one in the USA
Sorry?
as well.
Okay. Okay. And the team was placed third, and it's the first time New Zealand has ever medalled at the event. So that's a massive achievement for New Zealand canoe polo. So it just shows you, you know, how these little contributions that we can make through their youth development funds can go on to make history for New Zealand, or help to make history for New Zealand. So that's very, very special. And we've got our, there's a lot happening in Riccarton, a lot happening in Harrington Park, you know, since we inherited that off the old Riccarton Borough Council. It's a very important part of Riccarton, and we had 18 volunteers cleared the fence line and to plant some more 90 native shrubs. And further, a new men's shed notice board will be installed. So it's really, really exciting that we're getting a men's shed underway in Hornby. There is one in Riccarton, in Hallsville, sorry, a very successful one. And if we can get one in Riccarton as well, it'd be very important. I think it's a very, very important thing for all communities to have, is a men's shed, because they can contribute so much to the community. And as long as they've got a well-stocked beer fridge, it's a great place to visit. So, high community planting in Kai Day. Now this is, and we had a very successful day where the community came and done some beautification around the High Community Hall in Waikoura Park, and a food collection drive for kai for the community. And they also had some sausage sizzles and kai on there too that day. So it's just another community being part of tidying up our assets and our treasures. Hornby Community Centre. We voted on the 16th of August, last meeting. No, it wasn't our last meeting, the meeting before, to accept Ngātuhiri's gifted name of Matatiki. Matatiki. And that means spring of water, and represents the importance of water as a source of life and well-being. And the new centre will be called Matatiki Hornby Centre, in line with the council's policies. So it's something that we're very, very excited about, aren't we, Jimmy? Very, very excited about. It's been a long journey, but we got there. And we got the key achievements. Yes, safety of existing roadworks improved throughout the implementation to reduce speed zones through the halls. And this is something that's happening, I think, in all board areas. People are looking at slowing down the speed of traffic in their subdivisions, and especially around schools. So, and the Safer School unit underway to to work with the Hiratuni Youth Council. Developments and improvements of recreational spaces in halls, well. So accessible equipment in Hallsville Domain is fully funded and will be installed as soon as it arrives in the country, which is, you know, that's an issue, and that's a Hallsville Domain is something that our board's very proud of, to have the opportunity to expand that domain when we had time through the district plan review, and there was going to be a whole lot of residential development around the area, and we put up a battle for that, to that Hallsville Domain to be expanded and kept for recreational use, and we got we wanted 15 hectares, we got 11. So we had foresight at the time. Enhanced community connectedness, perceptions of safety in Hallsville. And we've had network meetings underway, and we've had just had security cameras fitted at the Hallsville quarry. So that's something that's been an issue for quite a while. We've been working on that. We've got those cameras installed there now. So these are live cameras, so we can see what's going on. And we've also our previous Fennelton Waimara Harewood Community Board and had a community safety meeting, And we've got one of those underway as we speak now in the organisation stages. And yes, and we've got something in the press this morning about safety issues around Rickerton as well, which is a real concern to our community board at present. And the key achievements really of our board is the construction is underway of our Hornby Centre, and the hydrotherapy pool will be included in the design for the Hornby Centre as well. So we're very pleased that staff have cooperated through this process to allow for community to help fund that very important asset. So it's a lot better to have it included in the project rather than an additional, more expensive cling-on later on. So we're very, very pleased with that. And the Waterloo Road safety improvements are underway, as previously said about, and that's the very important link now from that whole area, which has got the schools, it's got the Hornby hub right next door. So, oh my God, it's going to be a very, very busy, buzzing area that Hornby's never had really, as much such of a centre as what we're going to have now with this. So the safety improvements and that down Waterloo Road is a key thing, and I see they've got the traffic counters down there now counting the traffic. So the South Express motorway, cycleway, is connecting from Templeton into the city, and flooding in Golding Ave Corner is being addressed. Well, goodness me, we've been trying to get that addressed for many, 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 many years. But anyway, it's underway now. Excuse me. Sockburn Service Centre has been demolished, and plans are underway for its development in that area. And the Sockburn Park rehabilitation through the LTP is currently planned, and that's something that we're very, 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 very wanting to happen, so that we can get that park cleaned up now and that site cleaned up and made active. And our community board key achievements, we've got the El Nor Mosque. We're going to have the pedestrian crossing across the road there. That's been an issue for quite a while. Thank you very much. Thank you. Adams Ale. So that's in the Hagley Park surrounding the community. Yes, so that's all good. And the Upper Rickerton War Memorial Library site, the future of the building is now resolved. The trust has gifted the building to the council, but it's not resolved as far as we're concerned, as far as our board's concerned, because we still want that site maintained for a... Yes, I'm getting the message. So I'm just passing the message on that just because they own the building doesn't mean to say that it's going to get bowled and that'll be the finish of it. Bradshaw Terrace renewal, and really that's it from me.
Well,
so I saw you winding me up, Leanne, but
no, I never attempt to wind you up, Mike. But
sometimes I don't take a lot of tempting, do I?
No. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'll just I'm going to come back to that. But would someone like to move that we receive the monthly reports? Jimmy Chen, seconded by Tim Scandrett.
Yeah, and there's the additional resolution there as well, delegating that decision to the board.
And we are and a resolution to delegate the Waitai Coastal Burwood Community Board decision-making authority in respect of the dedication of road reserved to Legal Road, Tahuna Street, Wainoni report, which is being considered at the meeting on Monday. So that's that seemed to be a sensible way of resolving that.
Okay.
Who moved and
It's been moved by Jimmy Chen and seconded by Tim Scandrett. Well, we've got a resolution to receive it and delegate the authority. Okay, but I've got another thing that I want to do briefly afterwards, so I don't want that to reflect on that. So, yeah, Jimmy.
I would like to take this opportunity because this is the last the
Jimmy,
committee board chair meeting.
okay,
Comments?
all right, yep,
It's okay?
yep.
Because we heard from all those chair of committee board members, at least for last 3 years. I myself always impressed with their high quality of presentation, with their knowledge, with the skill and also experience, to present all those comprehensive presentation to the council table. So I'd like to invite the mayor and all our councillors, give them a big applause. Also, particularly regarding the two chairs, one is Mike Moore. We are all aware he's been served the community board for 10 terms, 30 years. I attended lots of the meeting with him together in the community board meeting, and also listen to this one, and as well as Kevin Porter, also both the skills, the experience and the knowledge, to bring to the council table to present it to us, both are, I would like to say, excellent the community board the chairs and the excellent committee leaders. So I know the mayor probably later on behalf of council presented to them those the certificate of appreciation, etc. But I myself, as a council, I still would like to take this opportunity, to express my sincere appreciation for two of them, for those long-term commitment, dedication, great achievement in the Christchurch community. Thank you.
Thank you. Yanni?
Thank you. Just wanted to stand and just reflect on the presentation that we've had from the Linwood Central Heathcote Community Board, also previously known as the Hagley Free Mead Community Board. I hope that you'll let me just say a few words as this board comes to the end of its existence, because it was established in 1989, and for 2/3 of the time that the community board has been in existence, I've served on the community board and as councillor for the area. And I just wanted to start off by just acknowledging that over the last decade, that board in particular and those wards have seen a huge amount of challenges. And I think it's probably fair to say that it's had a lot of everything to deal with in the post-earthquake environment. And so that has been incredibly challenging. I just made a few lists of some of the terms that you may or may not be familiar with: landmass movement, slope stability, rockfall, cliff collapse, liquefaction, TC1, TC2, TC3, red zones on the flat and on the hills, orange zones, green zones, white zones, flooding, inner city cordons, and things like paddling pools, volunteer libraries, community centres, surf clubs, sports fields, heritage buildings, school closures, mergers and rebuilds, and of course, munted infrastructure. And while it's been an incredibly hard decade, there's also been a lot of positive things that have happened. And although, again, there's been numerous highlights over the term of the community board, both in my tenure and the history before me, and others may at some appropriate time wish to contribute, I just came up with a top 10 list that stands out for me, and this is in no particular order. But Avery House would not have been saved if it wasn't for the work that our community board had done long before I was on it. Neither would Washington Skate Park, although I often get recognised for my role in supporting the Washington Skate Park being built. Actually, it was that community board that first raised the idea that that site could be turned into a skate park. Of course, we can't forget Te Poi Toi Toi, the Linwood Pole, nor can we forget, I think, the Linwood Youth Festival extravaganza. Indeed, the first time I ever met an elected community board member or understood what a community board was as a young person who went to that Linwood Youth Festival and saw the community board stall. One of the most powerful things that our board, in my time, was we held a 100-year celebration at the old Sumner Community Centre, the old Borough County Council. And I just wanted to reflect on that, because the people that spoke on that day were Andrew McGill, President of the Sumner Regulus Historical Society, Father Dennis Nolan, the Parish Priest of Sumner, Adrian Jackson from the Sumner Residents Association, Humphrey Archer from the Sumner Community Centre, Miss Runa Higgins gave an address, who was a former employee of the Sumner Borough Council, and Lady McCombs, the patron of the Sumner Redcliffs Historical Society, along with our community board chair, Bob Todd, who helped to cut the centennial cake. And the board actually held its meeting on a Saturday in the old Sumner Community Centre to recognise the 100 years of work that had been done in that particular place. And I'm nearly at the end, but just to also just recognise the coastal pathway and the main road, ferry road corridor from the city to the sea has been something that our board, I know, has for many terms advocated for, and it's great to see that work happening. There's also been a huge amount of recognition now of the importance of the estuary, the Avon-Otakaro and the Heathcote-Apavaho rivers to our environment and to the people that live along those areas and to mana whenua, and I want to acknowledge all the amazing work that's happened there. The Charleston Phillipstown Neighbourhood Improvement Project was also something that the community board should be incredibly proud of, and the ongoing support and work with those communities in both the good times and the bad. And did you know, fun fact, and I steal this from HHR, but fun fact, that John Hoskin has chaired the local Charleston Residents Association for over 40 years. That's longer than the existence of the community board, but it's absolutely worth acknowledging that he has worked with the board to do a lot of stuff in that area, including Lancaster Park, the relationship building when it existed, its redevelopment, its demolition, and now the reconstruction of a recreation and sports grounds. And although it's not quite on the top 10, I should say one of the things I'm very proud of is that after 21 years of seeking microphones, they were finally installed 3 months before our board is going out of existence. But we should acknowledge the progress made on the democracy and the transparency around that. So just in conclusion, these little seeds have been sown by the community board that have in time, some in months, many in years, and few in decades, probably none in days or weeks, but have grown into big things that have made a positive difference for people and the planet. But a board and its projects are nothing without the people that serve. And I want to pay tribute to all those amazing community board members, community board staff, and the public that have participated, who have dedicated themselves to advocating for the community and working hard to make a positive difference. And while the list is long and there's not time to mention everyone by name today, I do hope that in time it can be captured to record the legacy of the board as it is an important part of our city's civic history. So I really just want to say a heartfelt, sincere thanks to so many people that have contributed over the past 3 decades to that community board and for the huge amount of work that has made an incredible difference in the local community. Thank you, councillors, for the time just to say a few words.
Good. Thank you very much. And on that note, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much. And